The text arrived at 7:03 p.m. just as I was checking my lipstick in the reflective surface of a polished steak knife. Happy 2 years. My love. I'm so sorry. Stuck at the office. Client emergency. Can't get out. Rain check? I'll make it up to you. Promise. I read it twice. The warm, hopeful buzz from the 2 glasses of Pinot Noir cooling instantly in my veins. A sharp, familiar pang of disappointment settled in my chest, quickly chased by a wifely wave of understanding. It's fine. It's his job. It's how he provides the life we have. I tapped out a reply, my thumb moving with practiced, forgiving speed. Don't worry about it. Work comes first. I'll order dessert in your honor. 2 spoons. Hurry home when you can. Love you. I sent it, then took a deliberate sip of wine, letting the dry berry notes anchor me. Bistro Lumiere hummed with the low, moneyed murmur of San Francisco's financial district on a Thursday night. My table, the one I'd requested specifically, semi-private, velvet banquette, perfect view of the entrance, felt suddenly too large. The second place setting, the one for Mark, gleamed accusingly under the soft, golden glow of the Art Deco sconces. Our 2nd anniversary. I'd worn the emerald silk dress he loved, the one that matched the ring he'd given me on our first Christmas. I'd even booked the violinist for a private, cliched rendition of our song later. The whole surprise now felt foolish, a little desperate. I was about to signal the waiter to ask for the check and the chocolate torte to go, when the maître d' swept past my table with that particular brand of unctuous reverence reserved for the very important or the very regular. Mr. Thorne. A pleasure. As always. Your table is ready. My head snapped up. The air left my lungs in a soft, soundless rush. There he was. My husband. Mark Thorne. My Mark, who was supposedly drowning in spreadsheets 20 blocks away. He looked devastating, just as he had this morning when he'd kissed me goodbye. Charcoal Tom Ford suit. No tie. First button of his crisp white shirt undone. His dark hair was slightly mussed, as if he'd run a hand through it on the way. He was smiling, but it wasn't his tired, end-of-day smile. It was easy, bright, charged with an energy I hadn't seen in months. And his hand was resting on the lower back of a woman I knew intimately. Claire Evans. My college roommate. The woman who'd held my hair back after too many tequila shots in Tijuana. The woman who'd been my maid of honor, wearing a hideous lavender chiffon dress she'd joked about for a year. My best friend. The vice president of marketing at my father's company, Carson Tech. She threw her head back and laughed at something the maître d' said. The cascade of her perfect, champagne blonde hair catching the light. She was wearing red. A sinuous, backless column of red silk that screamed a confidence I'd always admired in her. Now, it just screamed. Time didn't slow down. It fractured. I saw the world in jagged, hyperreal snapshots. Mark's fingers, the ones that traced the line of my jaw last night, now gently guiding Claire forward. The way he pulled out her chair, his hand lingering on her shoulder for a beat too long. The intimate lean across the small table as he ordered a bottle of wine I knew cost more than my first car. His smile. Her smile. Their smiles. Reflecting each other. Creating a closed circuit of shared amusement from which I was utterly excluded. I was a ghost at my own anniversary dinner. A spectre in emerald silk. Watching my life play out 2 tables away. My phone buzzed on the table. Another text. From Mark. Missing you. Order the chocolate thing. Save me a bite. I stared at the screen. Then at him. He was looking at Claire, saying something low that made her dip her chin. A coy smile playing on her lips. He hadn't glanced at his phone. He hadn't glanced at it once since he sat down. The cold in my chest turned to ice. Then to a cracking, splintering freeze. The understanding I'd felt moments ago curdled into something vile and acidic. I gripped the edge of the table, the linen cloth bunching under my fingers. The logical part of my brain, the part that had aced the LSAT and ran charity galas, tried to rally. There's an explanation. A client. A last-minute meeting that moved here. Claire is from the company. It's a business dinner. But business dinners didn't involve the soft, deliberate brush of a knuckle across a woman's cheek. Business dinners didn't involve the kind of prolonged, searching eye contact that made the rest of the bustling restaurant fade into a blur. Business dinners didn't end with the man you married, the man who'd sworn forever in front of 200 people, leaning across a vase of white orchids and kissing your best friend. It wasn't a peck. It wasn't a social kiss. It was a kiss. Slow. Deliberate. A promise sealed. Her hand came up, her fingers sliding into the hair at the nape of his neck. The crackling freeze in my core exploded into white-hot fury. Sound rushed back in a wave, the clink of cutlery, the jazz piano, the laughter from a nearby table, all of it tinny and distant behind the roar of my own blood in my ears. I moved without conscious thought. I stood up, my chair scraping loudly on the parquet floor. I didn't care. I was going to walk those 20 feet. I was going to stand over their table. I was going to say his name. Just once. In a voice so cold it would shatter the crystal glasses. I wanted to see the shock on his face. I wanted to see the guilt. The panic. The pathetic scramble for a lie. I took one step. Then another. The emerald silk felt like a costume now. A humiliating uniform for the fool I'd been. My vision tunneled, focusing on the back of Mark's head, the familiar way his hair curled just above his collar. A hand closed around my wrist. The grip was firm, unyielding, but not painful. It was an anchor, snapping me back into my body with a jolt. I whirled, ready to snarl at a waiter, a stranger, anyone who dared to touch me. I wouldn't do that if I were you. The man holding my wrist wasn't a waiter. He was maybe 40, with the kind of weathered, interesting face that spoke of experience rather than effortless good looks. His hair was dark, shot with silver at the temples, cropped close. He wore a suit that probably cost more than Mark's, but it was understated. A deep charcoal that melted into the shadows of the restaurant. His eyes were the most unsettling part, a pale, crystalline gray that held mine with an intensity that cut through my rage. "Let go of me," I hissed, trying to pull my arm back. His grip didn't tighten, but it didn't loosen either. "Nora," he said, and hearing my name on his lips, spoken with such calm certainty, stole the breath from my lungs a second time. "Take a breath. Right now. Then come with me." "Who the hell are you? How do you know my name?" My voice was a tight, low whisper, trembling with the effort to not scream. "A friend. Or the closest thing you've got to one in this room." His gaze flicked over my shoulder, towards Mark and Claire's table, then back to me. The pale eyes were assessing, utterly devoid of pity. That, more than anything, made me pause. Pity I could have thrown back in his face. This cool, analytical detachment was unnerving. You go over there now, and you get a scene. You get tears. You get lies. You get a public humiliation that will be all over the society pages by morning. You'll feel better for about 10 seconds. And then you'll have lost any chance of understanding what's really going on. What's really going on? I choked out a bitter, silent laugh. I have eyes. My husband is kissing my best friend. It seems pretty damn clear what's going on. Is it? He released my wrist. Slowly. You see a man cheating. I see the opening act of a corporate takeover that's about to leave your father bankrupt. You destitute. And those two on a beach in the Caimans with everything that's ever had the Carson name on it. The words hit me like physical blows, each one landing in a different, vulnerable place. Corporate takeover. Father bankrupt. Destitute. They were too big. Too absurd. A script from a bad thriller. This was my life. A messy, painful, personal betrayal. Not that. You're insane, I whispered, taking a step back. I'm calling the police. For what? Having dinner. He gave a slight, humorless smile. Look at them now. Really look. Against my will. I glanced back. Mark and Claire had parted. They weren't clinging to each other. They looked normal, attentive. A handsome couple enjoying an expensive meal. Claire was saying something, gesturing with her fork. Mark nodded, a small, serious smile on his face. Then he reached into the inner pocket of his jacket, My breath hitched. The ring box. A stupid, romantic part of my brain. The part that wasn't dead yet. Whispered it. He's going to give her a ring. But it wasn't a ring box. It was smaller. Square. Covered in black velvet. He slid it across the table. Claire's perfectly manicured fingers, a color called Bordeaux Affair. I'd helped her pick it out last week, opened the lid. Inside, nestled on white satin, wasn't jewelry. It was a USB drive. A small, sleek, unremarkable black rectangle. Claire looked up at Mark and nodded once. A sharp, decisive movement. Her face was all business now. Mark leaned in again. His voice too low for me to hear. But I saw the shape of the words on his lips. Tomorrow. It all ends tomorrow. The stranger's voice was a low murmur in my ear. So close I could smell the clean, faint scent of sandalwood and rain on his skin. That little device contains the final authorization codes and the trading algorithm. At 9:30 a.m. tomorrow, when the market opens, a series of pre-programmed sell orders will execute. Every share of Carson Tech your father, you, and the employee trust own will be dumped onto the market in a coordinated cascade. The stock will plummet 40, maybe 50% in minutes. Panic will set in. Then, through a series of offshore shell companies you've never heard of, Mark and Claire will buy it all back for pennies on the dollar. By lunchtime, they'll own a controlling interest. Your father will be ousted. The company he spent 35 years building will be theirs. And the two of them will have bled it dry and vanished before anyone pieces it together. His words painted a picture. Cold, logical, and horrifyingly plausible. Mark's late nights. His sudden, intense interest in the company's quarterly reports. In the stock performance. Claire's recent promotion, giving her access to financial projections and investor lists. The urgent business trips that always seemed to coincide with board meetings I'd begged Mark to skip. The way my father had seemed more tired, more worried lately, brushing off my concerns with a weak smile. Why? The word was a dry croak. Why would he? We have money. Our life is good. Your life is good. The stranger corrected. His tone not unkind, but factual. Your money is tied up in trusts. In the company. His name isn't on the penthouse. His name isn't on the majority of the portfolio. It was a prenup. Nora. A very good one. Drawn up by your father's lawyers. In the event of a divorce, Mark gets a generous settlement. But he doesn't get Carson Tech. Not a single share. This, he nodded toward the couple. This is how he gets it all. By not divorcing you. By destroying the source and taking it for himself. The floor seemed to tilt under my feet. The rich smells of seared steak and garlic butter turned cloying, nauseating. I reached behind me, groping for the edge of my banquette, and sank down onto it. The room swam. Who are you? I asked again, my voice hollow. My name is Liam, he said. He didn't offer a last name. He extracted a simple, matte black card from his pocket and placed it on the tablecloth in front of me. There was no name, no title, just an embossed, intricate silver symbol that looked like a stylized keyhole. And beneath it, a phone number with a 212 area code. New York. I'm a problem solver. I was hired to look into threats against Carson Tech. My client wishes to remain anonymous, but their concern is genuine. We've been watching Mark and Claire for 6 months. Who's your client? I pressed, my mind reeling, trying to find purchase on any solid fact. Someone who cares about your father. And about you. That's all you need to know for now. He followed my gaze back to the table. Mark was signing the check, pulling a wad of cash from his wallet for a tip. A large one. They're leaving. He'll go back to the office to finish up. She'll go home. They won't be together again until tomorrow. After the deed is done. It's cleaner that way. I have to stop them, I said, the words tasting like ash. I have to call my father. I have to call your father and say what? Liam interrupted, his voice still low but edged with steel. That you saw Mark having dinner with Claire? That a strange man in a restaurant told you a wild story about stock manipulation? Your father is a rational man. He'll demand proof. You have none. You'll alarm him. Possibly trigger a health incident. You'll tip off Mark that you're suspicious. He'll accelerate the plan. Or change it. And we'll lose any chance of stopping it. We? I echoed. A hysterical laugh bubbling in my throat. There is no we. I don't know you. You could be making all of this up. You could be part of it, if I were part of it. Nora, he said, leaning down slightly, his grey eyes capturing mine. The easiest thing in the world would have been to let you walk over there 10 minutes ago. Let the emotional, betrayed wife make a scene. It would have been the perfect distraction. Mark would have had to deal with you. Publicly. Messily. The focus would be on the salacious affair. Not on the company finances. It would have made their tomorrow even easier. He straightened up. I stopped you because I need you calm. I need you smart. The Nora Carson who graduated top of her class at Stanford. Not the heartbroken wife seeing red. He was manipulating me. I knew it. But his logic was a cold, clear lifeline in the hurricane of my emotions. Calm. Smart. I could be those things. I had to be. What do you want me to do? The question felt alien in my mouth. First, you go home. You act normal. You are happy he made it home. Tired from his long, fake day at the office. You don't accuse. You don't cry. You be the wife he expects you to be. The very thought made me want to vomit. I can't. You can. You have to. It's one night. His gaze was relentless. Second, you take this. From another pocket, he produced a small, flesh-colored device, like a wireless earpiece but flatter. Put it in. It's a receiver. I'll be able to hear everything in your apartment. If you're in real danger, say the word orchid. It's a duress code. I'll be nearby. You'll be listening to me. In my own home. The violation was complete. A new layer of horror. Only until we get what we need. Which brings me to point 3. Mark has a safe in his home study. The combination is likely your birthday. Or your anniversary. He's sentimental in his shortcuts. In that safe, you will find the physical backup of the plan. Partnership agreements with the shell companies. Transfer documents. Instructions for the wire transfers. We need photographs of every page. You want me to break into my husband's safe? I whispered. Incredulous. I want you to secure evidence that will save your family's legacy. The choice is yours. Nora. You can walk over there right now. He said, gesturing with his chin. Mark was helping Claire with her coat. His hands lingering on her shoulders. You can have your moment. And you can lose everything. Or you can go home. And fight. I looked at the black card. At the tiny earpiece. At the man with the grey eyes who knew my name and my deepest shame. I looked at Mark. Laughing at something Claire said. His face relaxed. Happy. A face I no longer recognized. The ice in my veins hardened into something new. It wasn't fury anymore. It was colder. Sharper. Purpose. How do I know you're not lying about all of it? The takeover. Liam didn't blink. Check the offshore banking login. The one for the joint account in the Bahamas you think is for your future beach house. The username is your mother's maiden name. The password is the name of your first dog. With a capital Z at the end. Mark set it up. He thinks you don't know about it. Check the balance. Then you'll know. A new chill. Deeper than all the others. Seeped into my bones. My mother's maiden name. Scout Z. How could he possibly know that? Mark and Claire were walking toward the exit. They passed within 10 feet of my table. I dropped my gaze to my wine glass. My heart hammering against my ribs so violently I was sure they could hear it. I felt Mark's presence like a physical shockwave. I caught a whiff of his cologne. The Clive Christian I'd bought him for his last birthday. I heard Claire's light, familiar laugh. And then they were gone. I was alone at the table. The stranger named Liam standing beside me like a dark sentinel. Well, Nora? He asked. His voice quiet. What's it going to be? I picked up the black card. I picked up the earpiece. I didn't look at him. What's the word again? I asked. My voice surprisingly steady. The distress signal. Orchid. He said. I nodded. I stood up. My legs only slightly unsteady. I placed a stack of bills on the table. enough to cover the wine and a massive tip. I didn't look at the second place setting. I turned and walked out of Bistro Lumiere. The earpiece a tiny, sinister weight in my clenched fist. The taste of betrayal and a terrifying new future sharp and metallic on my tongue. The game was on. The cool, salt-tinged air of the San Francisco night hit me like a slap. It was a welcome shock. Slicing through the haze of wine, shock, and searing humiliation that had filled the restaurant, I stood on the sidewalk, the warm glow from Bistro Lumiere's windows at my back, feeling exposed and untethered. The city's sounds, cable car bells, distant sirens, the murmur of late-night crowds, felt like they were coming from another planet. Go home. Act normal. Liam's instructions echoed in my head. A cold, impossible command. The earpiece was a tiny, plastic and metal tumor in my palm. I looked down at the black card. The silver keyhole emblem seemed to gleam with its own malevolent light. A part of me, a raw, screaming part, wanted to throw it all into the nearest storm drain. To hail a cab, go straight to my father's Pacific Heights mansion, and spill the whole insane story. To collapse into his arms and let him, the unshakable Richard Carson, fix it. He'd fixed my broken bike, my broken heart in 10th grade, every problem I'd ever brought to him. But Liam's words rang with a terrible, pragmatic truth. You have no proof. You'll tip them off. You'll trigger a health incident. Dad's blood pressure had been a concern for years. The stress of a vague, hysterical accusation from his daughter about his son-in-law and a trusted executive, it could be catastrophic. And if there was even a sliver of a chance Liam was telling the truth about the scale of the betrayal, I needed facts, not feelings. Facts were weapons. I had none. My phone buzzed. A text. From Mark. Heading home now. Client dinner ran late but wrapped it up. Can't wait to see you. Did you save me dessert? The casual, loving lie was a new kind of violence. I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering over the keyboard. What did I say? What did the normal, trusting Nora say? The Nora who didn't know her husband's tongue had been in her best friend's mouth an hour ago. I forced my fingers to move. Just leaving the restaurant. Didn't have the heart for dessert alone. Hurry home. I'll be waiting. I added a heart emoji. The act felt like swallowing broken glass. A sleek, black town car with tinted windows pulled smoothly to the curb beside me. The rear window descended silently. Liam's profile was visible in the dim interior light. He didn't look at me. Get in, Nora, he said, his voice devoid of inflection. Or walk away. But if you walk into this blind. Your choice. You have 5 seconds. This was it. The point of no return. Getting into a stranger's car based on a story that sounded like a corporate espionage thriller. Every instinct honed by a lifetime of safety and privilege screamed at me to run. To call the police. To do anything but this. I thought of Mark's smile as he looked at Claire. I thought of the USB drive. Tomorrow. It all ends tomorrow. I yanked open the car door and slid inside. The door closed with a solid, expensive thud, sealing me in quiet, leather-scented darkness. The car pulled into traffic. Liam sat across from me, a shadow among shadows. He was looking at a tablet, the blue glow etching sharp lines on his face. Where are we going? My voice sounded small in the hushed interior. Somewhere we can talk. He didn't look up. Check the bank account. Right. Proof. My fingers, cold and clumsy, navigated my phone. I opened the banking app, one rarely used, the one for the Cayman Sunset Fund. The joint account Mark had set up 2 years ago. For our future, he'd said, kissing my forehead. A place to stash away our dream house fund. Away from taxes and prying eyes. I'd thought it was romantic. A little adventurous. I'd logged in once. When he'd set it up. To please him. I hadn't touched it since. I typed in the username, Harper. My mother's maiden name. The password, Scout Z. Scout. My golden retriever who died when I was 15. The capital Z was odd. Mark's quirk. The app loaded. A single account summary screen. The balance was displayed in USD. $7. 850. 32. I almost let out a hysterical laugh. That was it. Our dream house fund. This was the great conspiracy. A measly 8 grand, then I saw it. The decimal point. My eyes, blurred with unshed tears and rage, had misread it. I blinked, leaning closer to the screen. Not $7, $8.50, $32, $7, $8.50, $3.22, 18, $7.8 million. The air left my lungs in a rush. I stared at the number. It didn't change. $7,850,322.18. A fortune that hadn't been there 6 months ago when I'd last idly glanced. A fortune that couldn't possibly be from our salaries, even with Mark's generous bonuses. A fortune that was, according to the transaction list, composed of a series of large, incoming wire transfers over the last 4 months from entities with names like Northstar Holdings Limited and Polaris Ventures AG. The most recent, a deposit of $2 million, had hit 3 days ago. Oh, my God, I whispered, the phone slipping from my numb fingers to land on the soft leather seat. Liam finally looked up from his tablet. His expression was unreadable. Now you know. Where did this money come from? My mind was scrambling, doing frantic math. This isn't, he couldn't have, he didn't earn it. Liam said flatly. It's a payoff. An advance. From Volkov Group. The Russian investment firm. I'd heard the name. My father had grumbled about them over dinner once, calling them vultures in nice suits, interested in a hostile takeover of a rival tech firm. Mark consulted for them once. A year ago. A one-time project. He said it was boring. Just some market analysis. It wasn't boring. It was an audition. And he passed with flying colors. Liam swiped his finger across his tablet and turned it toward me. It showed a series of documents. Scanned and slightly blurry, but clear enough. A contract. Between M. Thorne and Volkov Group Holdings. The scope of work, Project Chimera. The objective, acquisition of operational control of Carson Tech, Inc. Via market manipulation and internal asset compromise. The compensation structure, a percentage of the acquired assets, paid in staged installments. The first installment figure matched the initial large deposit in the Cayman account. Next, he swiped to a grainy, long-lens photograph. Mark, in a different restaurant, shaking hands with a severe-looking man with pale eyes and silver hair. I recognized him from Forbes, Dmitry Volkov. Another swipe. Claire, entering a nondescript office building in Zurich. According to the timestamp, 6 months ago. A building Liam's tablet identified as a known Shell Corporation registry. The plan is elegant in its brutality, Liam said, his voice a clinical monotone, as if he were explaining a complex chemical reaction. Mark, as the beloved son-in-law, has insider access to Richard's confidence, to company morale, to unguarded chatter. Claire, in marketing, has access to forward-looking financial projections, product roadmaps, and, crucially, the login credentials for the secure servers that handle automated, high-volume trading for the employee stock fund. Tomorrow, at 9:30 a.m., she will use those credentials, combined with the algorithm on that USB drive, to execute the sell-off. The trades will look like a panic dump by the employees themselves. The stock will crater. In the ensuing chaos, a series of buying entities, all fronts for Volkov, will sweep in and acquire a controlling stake at fire sale prices. Your father will be powerless. The board, seeing the stock collapse and a mysterious white knight buying it up, will be inclined to deal. Mark and Claire, their work done, disappear with their Volkov payouts, presumably to a non-extradition country. You are left as the devastated widow of a man who, the world will be told, made some terrible, rogue investments and took his own life out of guilt and shame. What? The word was a gasp. Suicide. They are going to kill him, not physically. No. Liam said, putting the tablet away. Figuratively. The story will be crafted. Emails will be discovered. Evidence of his gambling addiction or desperate attempts to cover losses. His reputation will be the thing that's killed. And with him gone and you shattered, who's left to fight for the company? Your father. A broken man. It's clean. It's merciless. I wrapped my arms around myself, suddenly freezing despite the car's perfect climate control. The scale of it, the cold, meticulous planning, was beyond comprehension. This wasn't a crime of passion. It was a corporate hit. And I was the oblivious, loving wife. The perfect camouflage. Who hired you? I asked again, my teeth wanting to chatter. You have to tell me. Liam studied me for a long moment, as if weighing the risks. Evelyn, he said finally. The name landed like a stone in a still pond. Aunt Evelyn? My mother's younger sister. The black sheep. The eccentric recluse who lived in a fortified house in Mendocino. Who sent cryptic, beautiful oil paintings for Christmas and had refused to set foot in the city since my mother's funeral 10 years ago. You work for my aunt, she hired me. She's been suspicious of Mark for over a year. Saw patterns she didn't like. Knew your father was too trusting. Too blinded by his affection for you and his hope for a male heir to take over the business. She couldn't get through to Richard. He dismissed her concerns as paranoia, bitterness. So, she hired me to look into it. Discreetly. Evelyn. The artist. The conspiracy theorist at family gatherings. The one who'd pulled me aside at my wedding and said, in her blunt, smoky voice, his too polished, Nora. Men who shine that brightly are usually hiding rust. I'd laughed it off. Attributed it to her general mistrust of the world. She was right. I said. The realization of fresh wound. All along. She was right. She often is. Liam said. A flicker of something that might have been respect in his eyes. She loves you very much. She's been watching. From a distance. The car slowed, winding its way up a steep, quiet street in a neighborhood I didn't recognize. It stopped in front of a modern, concrete and glass building that looked more like a minimalist sculpture than a residence. A secure garage door slid open silently, and we descended into an underground parking garage. Liam led me to a private elevator that opened directly into an apartment. His apartment, I presumed. It was the polar opposite of the warm, art-filled, cluttered comfort of the home I shared with Mark. This was a monument to austere efficiency. Polished concrete floors, floor-to-ceiling windows offering a breathtaking, soulless view of the Bay Bridge and the glittering city. Sparse furniture in shades of grey and black. The only personal touch was a state-of-the-art security system panel glowing softly by the door, and a large, tactical-style work table covered in monitors, laptops, and electronic equipment I couldn't begin to name. Sit, he said, nodding toward a severe-looking leather sofa. He went to a kitchenette that was all stainless steel and hidden appliances, pouring 2 glasses of water from a tap. He handed one to me. I took it, my hand shaking so the water sloshed. Here is what we are going to do, he began, standing before me like a general briefing a soldier. You will go home. You will act exactly as you would if you'd had a slightly disappointing, lonely anniversary dinner. You are affectionate. A little sad he missed it, but understanding. You do not mention Claire. You do not act suspicious. You insert the earpiece. I will hear everything. You will go to bed. You will let him believe you are asleep. Then, you will get up. You will go to his study. You will open the safe. How do you know he has a safe? I asked. The water doing nothing to wet my dry mouth. I've had eyes on him. On your apartment. For months. The safe is behind the 3rd edition of The Wealth of Nations Son, the second shelf of his bookcase. A common hiding place for the financially literate who think they're clever. The combination is either your birthday, June 14, 1994, or your anniversary, the date you married, September 18. Try 061494 first. If that doesn't work, try 091823. He recited the numbers as if they were my social security number. The invasion of my privacy was so total, so matter-of-fact, that I felt stripped bare. And if it's neither, then we adapt. But it will be one of those. He uses them for everything else. Gym lockers, phone passcodes, the alarm at your weekend house in Napa. Sentimentality and laziness are the greatest vulnerabilities of the arrogant. I just stared at him. Who was this man, inside the safe? He continued. You will find documents, partnership agreements, wire transfer authorizations, possibly a burner phone. You will photograph every page, front and back. Clearly, you will use this. He walked to the work table, picked up a slim, pen-like device, and brought it to me. It's a high-resolution scanner. Looks like a stylus. Touch the tip to the document. Press the button. It stores the images. It's silent. Then you put everything back exactly as you found it. You go back to bed. In the morning, you come here. And we decide our next move. And what is your next move? I asked, finding my voice. Once we have the evidence, we go to the police. The sec, Liam's lips thinned. The police are for crimes that have already happened. The sec moves with the speed of continental drift. By the time they issue a subpoena, your father's company will be a subsidiary of Volkov Group. No. We use the evidence to force their hand. We set a trap of our own. But first, we need the proof. He was right. I knew he was right. The law was too slow, too clumsy for this. This was a silent war. And it was being fought in the shadows of server farms and offshore accounts. Why me? I asked. The question bursting out of me. Why not just do this yourself? You clearly know how to break into places. You could have done it already. Because, he said, his grey eyes locking onto mine. The one place I cannot easily go. The one person whose presence will not trigger his suspicion. Is you in your own home. You are his blind spot. Nora. His beautiful, trusting, oblivious wife. He will never see you coming. That is our only advantage. The words were meant to be pragmatic, but they felt like the cruelest cut of all. My greatest value in this fight was my own profound gullibility. I placed the untouched glass of water on a coastal side table. A small act of rebellion in this sterile space. I stood up, my legs feeling more solid now, fueled by a cold, focused anger that was slowly replacing the paralyzing shock. Fine. I'll do it. Good. He didn't offer praise or encouragement. He picked up a small, discreet Bluetooth device from the table. The earpiece. Put it in. I'll test the feed. With trembling fingers, I inserted the flesh-colored device into my right ear. It fit snugly. Invisibly. Can you hear me? Liam's voice came through. Crisp and clear. Both from in front of me and inside my head. Yes. The duress code is orchid. If you say that word, in any context, I will assume you are in imminent danger and I will intervene. Do you understand? Yes. Then go. Your husband will be home in approximately 20 minutes. You should be there first. Be normal. Be normal. The two most impossible words in the English language. I turned and walked back to the private elevator. As the doors closed, I saw Liam already turning back to his bank of monitors. His silhouette framed against the glittering, indifferent city. I was alone again. But now I had a ghost in my ear and a mission that felt like walking a tightrope over a pit of snakes. The black town car was waiting. The silent driver took me back to my neighborhood. Nob Hill. The familiar site of our building. A pre-war granite masterpiece with a green awning. Filled me with a wave of nausea. This wasn't my sanctuary anymore. It was a set. A stage for a performance I had to give. I rode the elevator to the penthouse. The mirrored walls reflecting a pale woman in an emerald dress who looked like she'd seen a ghost. I fixed my face. Practiced a smile in the warped reflection. It looked like a grimace. The key turned in the lock. I stepped into the foyer. The apartment was dark. Quiet. It smelled of lemon polish and the faint, lingering scent of Mark's cologne from this morning. Our home. Filled with our things. The gallery wall of photos from our travels. The ugly ceramic vase we'd bought together at a flea market in Paris. The grand piano I never played. Every object felt like a lie. A prop in the beautiful life Mark had constructed for me. A life that was, I now saw, merely the attractive facade for a vault. I took off my heels. My movements automatic. I poured myself a large glass of scotch from the decanter in the living room. Not for the taste, but for the courage. I didn't turn on many lights. I left a single lamp on in the living room. The way I always did when waiting up for him. I sat on the sofa, the glass cold in my hand, and waited for the man I had loved to come home so I could begin the work of destroying him. Right on time. At 10:47 p.m., I heard the key in the lock. My heart, which had settled into a dull, heavy thud, suddenly began to slam against my ribs. I took a deep, silent breath, forcing my shoulders to relax, arranging my face into an expression of tired affection. The door opened. Mark stepped inside. He looked exactly as he had in the restaurant, handsome, a little weary, the perfect picture of a hard-working man coming home to his wife. He saw me and his face softened into a smile, the same smile that had once made my knees weak. Now, it made my stomach churn. "Hey, you," he said, his voice warm. He dropped his briefcase, shrugged off his coat, and came towards me. "You're still up." I stood, meeting him halfway. He wrapped his arms around me, pulling me into a hug. I forced my body to mold against his, to not go rigid. I buried my face in his shoulder, inhaling the scent of his cologne, the restaurant, and beneath it, a faint trace of Claire's perfume, Joe Malone's wood sage sea salt. My scent, the one I'd let her borrow last week. "Of course I'm up," I said, my voice muffled against his jacket. I pulled back, making myself look up at him. I smiled. It felt like cracking ice on my face. "Long day, the longest," he sighed, running a hand through his hair. The gesture I'd always found endearing. Now I saw it as a performance of exhaustion. These clients, they have no concept of time zones or personal lives. "I'm so sorry, Nora. Our anniversary. I'm a terrible husband." He looked genuinely contrite. The bastard was a phenomenal actor. "It's okay," I said, reaching up to smooth his lapel. A wifely gesture. "We have the weekend. We'll celebrate then. You hungry? I could make you something." "No. No." I grabbed a bite with the team after, he said, waving a hand. The lie was so smooth, so effortless. "Just tired. And feeling guilty. You look beautiful. By the way, that dress." His eyes traveled over me, and for a horrifying second, I saw the same appreciative look he'd given Claire. Was it generic? Was his desire just a switch he could flip for any woman in a nice dress? "Thank you," I said, dipping my head as if shy. "Let me get you a drink. You look like you need it." I moved to the bar, giving myself a moment to turn away, to let the frozen smile drop from my face. I poured him 2 fingers of the same scotch I was drinking, my hand steady only through sheer force of will. "Here," I said, handing it to him. Our fingers brushed. I didn't flinch. He took a sip, watching me over the rim of the glass. "How was your dinner?" "At Lumiere. I saw you. I saw you kiss her. I saw you give her the key to my father's ruin." The words screamed in my skull. "Lonely," I said, injecting just the right amount of playful pout into my voice. "The food was amazing. I had the scallops you like. I thought about you the whole time." He had the decency to look pained. "God. I'm sorry. This deal, it's almost over. Once it's done, I promise, we'll get away. Just the 2 of us. Bora Bora. Whatever you want. Bora Bora. Where he and Claire would probably go with my stolen inheritance. I'd like that," I whispered. He set his glass down and pulled me to him again, this time his intention clear. He leaned in to kiss me. Panic, pure and primal, shot through me. The thought of his lips on mine, lips that had been on Claire's hours ago, made my gorge rise. I just couldn't. I turned my head at the last second, so his kiss landed on my cheek. I nestled against his shoulder, a move that could be read as affection rather than rejection. "I'm just really tired, Mark," I murmured. "It's been an emotional day, waiting for you." And the wine, I felt him stiffen for a fraction of a second, then relax. He stroked my hair. "Of course. I'm an ass. Come on. Let's go to bed." He kept an arm around me as we walked down the hall to our bedroom. Our bedroom. The king-sized bed with the linen sheets I'd picked out. his watch on the nightstand. My book. The life I knew was a diorama in a museum, and I was seeing it from the outside for the first time. I went into the bathroom, closing the door. I leaned against it, pressing my forehead to the cool wood, taking deep, shuddering breaths. I could do this. I had to do this. I changed into my pajamas, washed my face, went through the motions. When I came out, Mark was already in bed, scrolling through his phone, the blue light illuminating his handsome, treacherous face. He looked up and smiled. "You coming?" "Yeah," I said, forcing a smile. I climbed into my side of the bed. He put his phone away, rolled over, and spooned against me, his arm heavy over my waist. It was our usual sleeping position. Every nerve in my body was screaming. His breathing slowly evened out. I lay there in the dark, listening to him breathe, feeling the weight of his arm, the warmth of his body that now felt like a prison. The earpiece was silent in my ear. I wondered if Liam was listening to this, to the sound of my heart thundering against my ribs. I wondered if he was bored. An hour passed, then another. Mark's breathing deepened into the rhythms of sleep. Carefully, millimeter by millimeter, I extricated myself from his hold. He mumbled something, turned over. I froze, my blood turning to ice. He settled, his back to me now. I waited another 10 agonizing minutes. Then, moving with the silent grace of a ghost, I slid out of bed. The hardwood floor was cool under my bare feet. I didn't put on a robe. I was less likely to brush against something in the dark without it. The walk to his study, down the hall and to the left, felt like a mile. The apartment was silent, save for the hum of the refrigerator and the distant white noise of the city. Moonlight streamed through the large windows, painting silvery paths on the floor. I pushed open the study door. It didn't creak. I'd had it oiled last month. The room smelled of him, leather, old paper, and a hint of cigar smoke from the one a year he allowed himself. I went straight to the bookcase. My eyes, adjusted to the dark, found the third edition of Adam Smith's The Wealth of Nations. It was a prized possession, a first printing he'd bought at auction. I'd always thought it was just a display of his intellectualism. Now I knew it was a hiding place. I reached for the spine, my fingers trembling. I pulled. The book didn't move. It was fixed. A dummy. My heart sank. Then I remembered Liam's words. Behind it. I slid my fingers behind the fake book. My knuckles brushed against cold, smooth metal. The safe. It was a small, square wall safe, painted the same color as the wall. Nearly invisible in the shadows, there was a digital keypad. My mouth was desert dry. I raised my hand. My birthday. 061494. I punched the numbers in. The keypad beeped softly, a red light blinking. Incorrect. A cold sweat broke out on the back of my neck. I tried to steady my breathing. Our anniversary. 091823. I input the numbers. 0-9-1-8-2-3. A soft, definitive click. A green light glowed. I almost sagged with relief, sentimentality and laziness. Liam was right. I turned the handle. The safe door swung open silently. Inside, it wasn't stacks of cash or gold bars. It was neat, organized. A few bundles of euros and Swiss francs. A passport. Not Mark's familiar blue US passport. A maroon one. I pulled it out. It was issued by the Republic of Malta. The name, Michael Rostov. The photo was Mark, but with shorter hair. Glasses. My blood ran cold. A second identity. Beneath it, a manila folder. I lifted it out. It was heavier than it looked. I carried it to his desk, setting it down in a pool of moonlight. I took the scanner pen from the pocket of my pajama bottoms. I opened the folder. The first page was a contract. The header chilled me more than anything else had so far. Project Chimera, Final Execution Protocol. I recognized Mark's handwriting in the margins, notes, timestamps, calculations. I pressed the tip of the scanner to the page and pressed the button. A tiny green light flashed. I moved methodically, page by page. Partnership agreements with shell companies, North Star Holdings, Polaris Ventures, others. Bank routing numbers for accounts in Cyprus, the Bahamas, Belize. A detailed timeline for the stock dump. Minute by minute. Starting at 9:30:01 a.m. A flowchart of the post-acquisition corporate structure. With D. Volkov as the ultimate beneficial owner. And M. Thorne and C. Evans listed as senior partners, special operations. With ownership percentages listed. And then, clipped to the back, a single, typewritten page. It was a memo. The subject line, contingency, N. Carson. I started to read, my breath catching in my throat. In the event of Nora Carson's non-cooperation or premature suspicion, initiate phase omega, leverage emotional distress, suggest involvement of R. Carson in illicit activities to sow doubt. If necessary, administer prescribed benzodiazepines to ensure compliance. End goal, institutionalization or discrediting. Neutralize as a threat. The words swam before my eyes. Institutionalization. Administer prescribed benzodiazepines. Neutralize. They weren't just going to ruin my father and leave me. They had a plan for me. To drug me. To have me committed. To make me look unstable. Paranoid. A grieving, crazy daughter making wild accusations. A low, wounded sound escaped my throat. I clapped a hand over my mouth. My whole body shaking. The hatred that rose in me then was a black, tar-like thing, filling my chest, my throat. I heard a floorboard creak in the hallway. I froze, my blood turning to ice. The scanner pen slipped from my fingers, clattering softly on the wooden desk. I snatched it up, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. I listened, every muscle tense. Silence. Had I imagined it? The old building settling, I had to move. Now. I quickly, silently, scanned the last few pages, a list of encrypted digital wallets, a map of server locations. My hands were slick with sweat, leaving smudges on the pristine paper. I wiped them on my pajamas. I reassembled the folder exactly as I'd found it. The passport on top. I placed it back in the safe. I closed the door. Twisted the handle. The green light went out. I punched in a random set of numbers to relock it. The red light glowed. I replaced the dummy book, making sure it was flush with the others. I turned, scanning the moonlit study. Had I left anything out of place? The scanner pen was in my hand. My own breathing sounded deafening. I crept to the door. Listening. Nothing. I peered out into the darkened hallway. Empty. I slipped out, pulling the door closed until I heard the faintest click. I stood for a moment in the hall, pressing my back against the cool wall, trying to will my heartbeat to slow down. The hatred was still there, a hard, cold stone in my gut, but it was now joined by a new, sharper emotion, fear. They weren't just thieves. They were willing to destroy me, completely and utterly, to get what they wanted. I padded back to the bedroom. Mark was still on his side, his breathing deep and even. I slid back into bed, careful not to jostle the mattress. The space between us felt like a chasm. I lay on my back, staring at the ceiling, the scanner pen a burning brand in my clenched fist. The documents were safe. The evidence was captured. But the words from that memo played on a loop in my head. Administer prescribed benzodiazepines. Institutionalization. Neutralize. Mark sighed in his sleep, rolling over towards me. His arm flopped heavily across my waist. I lay perfectly still, every fiber of my being screaming to shove him away, to leap from the bed, to run. But I didn't. I lay there, trapped under the weight of his betrayal, until the first grey light of dawn began to bleed around the edges of the blackout curtains. The performance was over. The war had just begun, and I was now a soldier in it, armed with secrets and a cold, furious will to survive. The alarm blared at 6:30 a.m. Mark groaned, stretching an arm across the empty space where I'd been lying rigid for hours. I was already in the in-suit. Shower running. Scrubbing my skin raw as if I could wash away the memory of his touch. The scent of Claire's perfume. The words administer and neutralize. I dressed mechanically, tailored slacks. A silk blouse. Armor for the day ahead. In the mirror. My face was pale. Shadows under my eyes. I applied extra concealer. Mark appeared in the doorway. Towel around his waist. His hair damp. "You're up early." He came up behind me, meeting my gaze in the mirror. His hands settling on my shoulders. I forced myself not to flinch. "Couldn't sleep," I said, my voice carefully neutral. I picked up a necklace, fumbling with the clasp. Nervous about the board meeting today. It was a lie, the board meeting was next week. But it was a plausible Nourish thing to say. "Your dad's got it under control," Mark said, his thumbs rubbing circles on my tense muscles. The familiarity of the gesture was a fresh betrayal. "Don't worry your pretty head about it." The condescension, once charming, now felt like a calculated tactic. He pressed a kiss to the top of my head. "I've got that big closing today. Might be even later. Don't wait up." The closing. The word took on a sinister new meaning. I met his eyes in the mirror, summoning a smile. "Go get Tiger." He grinned. That easy, winning grin. And headed to his closet. I watched him dress. Selecting a power tie. Checking his watch. The portrait of a man on the rise. My husband. The architect of my ruin. I left first. Claiming an early breakfast with a friend. The lie tasted bitter. I took a cab not to a cafe, but to a bland, corporate chain coffee shop 3 blocks from Liam's building. I texted him from a burner phone he'd given me the night before. In 5 minutes, he met me in the lobby, his expression unreadable. We rode the elevator in silence. Inside his sterile apartment, the morning light was harsh on the monitors. "Did you get it?" he asked, dispensing with greetings. I pulled the scanner pen from my bag and handed it to him. My hand was steady. The cold fury had settled into a core of resolve. "It's all there, including a contingency plan." For me. Liam plugged the pen into a laptop. Images flashed on a screen. He scanned them quickly, his grey eyes flicking across the text. He paused at the contingency. Carson memo. A muscle ticked in his jaw. "Bastards," he muttered. The first flash of genuine emotion I'd seen from him. He looked at me. "You understand what this means? You're not just a bystander anymore. You're a target." "I understand," I said, my voice flat. "What now?" "Now we verify the fastest route to stop them. The trade algorithm on that USB is key. But it requires dual authentication. Mark's credentials and Claire's biometrics, likely her fingerprint on a secure token. We need that token. How? We get it from Claire. Before 9:30 a.m. "You want to mug me, best friend?" The absurdity of the statement hung in the air. "I want to intercept her. Persuade her. The evidence you just got gives us leverage. Claire is ambitious, not stupid. When faced with a choice between prison with Mark or a deal with us, she'll deal." "You're sure?" "No," he said frankly. "But it's the only play. We have the where, the when, and the how. We need the key." Literally. He pulled up a building schematic on another screen. Claire's apartment. Pacific Heights. Doorman. But lacks after 8 a.m. shift change. She leaves for her yoga class at 8:15 every Thursday. "We'll be waiting inside." You're coming. She's more likely to talk if you're there. The shock value. The thought of facing Claire. Of seeing the guilt or, worse, the triumph in her eyes, made me physically ill. But Liam was right. I was part of this now. Fine. An hour later, dressed in nondescript delivery driver uniforms courtesy of Liam's seemingly bottomless closet of disguises, we stood in the service elevator of Claire's building. My heart was a frantic drum against my ribs. I carried a flat package. A prop. "Let me do the talking initially," Liam murmured, his eyes on the ascending floor numbers. "You're the hammer. I'm the scalpel." The elevator dinged. Apartment 12B. Claire's door. Liam knocked. Brisk and professional. "Delivery for Evans." A moment. Then Claire's voice. filtered through the door. Leave it there. Need a signature. Perishable. A sigh. The sound of locks disengaging. The door opened. Claire stood there, dressed in expensive black leggings and a sleek tank top. Her hair in a perfect ponytail. She looked fresh, vibrant, victorious. Her eyes, a bright, friendly blue, swept over Liam, then landed on me as I stepped from behind him. The color drained from her face. Her perfectly glossed lips parted. Nora? What the? Liam was already moving, smoothly pushing past her into the apartment, pulling me in with him, and closing the door. We need to talk. Claire. Now. What is this? She sputtered, backing up, her gaze darting between us, settling on my face. I saw the calculations flying behind her eyes, denial, defiance, fear. Nora. Who is this? What's going on? You tell me. Claire. I said, my voice low and trembling. I let the package drop to the floor. You tell me what's going on with you and my husband, and what you're planning to do to my father's company at 9:30 this morning. Her face went from pale to chalk white. The shock was genuine. She hadn't expected to be caught. Not like this. Not by me. I don't know what you're talking about. You're not well, Nora. After last night, with Mark missing your anniversary, I can see you're upset. But, save it. Liam cut in, his voice like ice. He held up his phone, displaying a scanned page from the safe, the partnership agreement with her name and percentage. We have everything. Project Chimera, the shell companies, the Volkov payments, the memo about neutralizing Nora. It's over. Claire stared at the screen. Her bravado crumbled. Her shoulders slumped. She looked suddenly smaller, younger, scared. He said it was foolproof. She whispered, more to herself than to us. He said no one would get hurt. Your father would get a golden parachute. You'd be taken care of, taken care of. I took a step forward, the rage breaking through. Your plan was to have me committed or discredited. You were my friend, it wasn't personal. She cried, tears springing to her eyes. They looked real. Claire had always been a good crier. It was business. Your father was running the company into the ground. Mark had the vision, the connections. We were saving it, by stealing it. Liam stated flatly. Where's the token? Claire? The biometric key for the trade algorithm. She shook her head, wrapping her arms around herself. I don't have it. Mark does. For security. Liam sighed, a sound of profound irritation. He took another step toward her. You're lying. The protocol requires split custody. He has one half. You have the other. It's in this apartment. Give it to me. And we can talk about you not spending the next 20 years in a federal prison for conspiracy, fraud, and attempted corporate espionage. The threat hung in the air. Claire's gaze darted to a sleek, modern desk in the corner. It was a fleeting glance, but Liam caught it. He was across the room in 3 strides, yanking open the top drawer. He rummaged past papers and pulled out a small, silver USB device with a glowing green sensor pad. This it? He asked, holding it up. Claire's face collapsed. She gave a tiny, defeated nod. Liam pocketed it. Good. Now, here's your choice. Option 1, you walk out of here with us right now. Come to the sec with what you know. Wear a wire. Help us take Mark and Volkov down. You cooperate fully. And maybe, you avoid the worst of the charges. And option 2? Claire asked, her voice a ragged thread. Option 2 is I call the FBI right now and tell them where to find the woman who helped plan the Carson Tech heist. You'll be the fall guy. Mark will deny everything. Pin it all on you. Who do you think they'll believe? The grieving, betrayed son-in-law, or the jealous, greedy mistress who stole from her best friend's family? It was brutal. And it was almost certainly true. I saw the realization dawn in Claire's eyes. She'd been a player. But in Mark's game, she was expendable. He loves me, she said weakly. But the conviction was gone. He's using you, I said, the words tasting like poison. Just like he used me. The only person Mark loves is Mark. Claire looked at me then. Really looked at me. The shame. The horror. Finally broke through her self-preservation. A tear traced a path through her makeup. I'm so sorry, Nora. I never wanted to hurt you. Not really. It just happened. Spare me. I snapped. But the fight was leaving me, replaced by a weary disgust. Make your choice, Claire. Now. She wiped her face. A gesture that smudged her eyeliner. She took a shaky breath. What do you need me to do? Liam nodded. A sharp, satisfied motion. First, you call Mark. You tell him everything is on track. You're heading to the office as planned. You sound normal. Then, you come with us. Claire, moving like an automaton, picked up her phone. Her hand shook. She dialed. Put it on speaker. It rang twice. Claire, you on your way? Mark's voice, smooth, confident, filled the room. A fresh wave of nausea hit me. Yeah, Claire said, her voice impressively steady. A slight tremor, which could be attributed to morning traffic. Just heading out. Tokens secure. Meet you at the launch point, 10 sharp. Don't be late. Today's the day. Darling. The casual endearment, the same one he used for me, was the final twist of the knife. Wouldn't miss it, Claire said, and hung up. She looked at us. Empty. Now what? Now we go. Liam said. We have a lot to do before 10. We moved toward the door. Claire picked up her purse. Her yoga mat a pathetic prop now. Liam went first, checking the hall. It was clear. We stepped into the hallway and froze. 2 men stood there, blocking the path to the elevator. They weren't building security. They were big, dressed in dark, casual clothes, with the unmistakable, watchful stillness of professional muscle. One had a faint scar through his eyebrow. The other cracked his knuckles. Ms. Evans, Scar said, his voice a low rumble. His eyes swept over Liam and me without interest. Mr. Thorne sent us. He's had a change of plan. Needs to see you. Now. Claire went rigid beside me. Liam shifted almost imperceptibly, placing himself slightly in front of me. That's not necessary, Claire said, her voice high. I'm on my way to see him. New orders, the other man said. You and your friends, come with us. Quietly. Mark knew. He'd suspected Claire's loyalty, or he'd been watching her. The change of plan was a trap. Liam's hand moved toward his jacket. Scar's hand went to his waistband, under his shirt. Time seemed to slow. Liam's voice was calm. Deadly. Run. Nora. Back inside. Now. But it was too late. The second man lunged. Not for Liam, but for Claire. He clamped a meaty hand over her mouth, his other arm snaking around her waist, lifting her off her feet. She kicked. A muffled scream behind his hand. Hey! I shouted. The sound ripped from me. Scar went for Liam. Liam moved with a speed that was shocking. He deflected the first grab, driving the heel of his hand up into the man's nose. There was a sickening crunch, and Scar stumbled back with a grunt. Blood already streaming. Nora. Go! Liam yelled, grappling with the now enraged Scar. The man holding Claire started dragging her toward the stairwell door. She was struggling wildly, her eyes wide with terror over his hand. I didn't think. I just moved. I dropped my purse, grabbed the only thing I could see, a heavy, modernist ceramic vase from a console table by the elevator. I swung it with all my strength at the back of the man's head. It connected with a solid thunk. He roared, more in surprise than pain, and dropped Claire. She stumbled forward, gasping. You bitch! He snarled, turning on me, his face a mask of fury. He raised a fist. A gunshot exploded in the confined space, deafeningly loud. The man stopped, his eyes widening. He looked down. A dark, blooming stain spread across his shirt, just below his ribs. He made a wet, gurgling sound and sank to his knees, then slumped sideways. I whirled. Liam stood, his arm extended, a compact pistol with a suppressor in his hand. Smoke wisped from the barrel. Scar was on the ground, clutching his bleeding nose. unmoving, either unconscious or playing dead. The silence after the shot was ringing. Absolute. The smell of cordite and copper filled the air. Claire was on the floor, hyperventilating, staring at the man bleeding out beside her. Oh my God. Oh my God, Liam was already moving. He checked the pulse of the man he'd shot. He'll live. Probably. His voice was clinical. He looked at me, his grey eyes assessing. Are you hit? I shook my head. Numb. I'd never seen a man shot before. I'd never hit anyone with a vase. We have to go. Now. He hauled Claire to her feet. She was limp. In shock. Nora. With me. The service stairs. Move. The three of us stumbled toward the heavy metal door-marked stairs. Liam pushed it open, propelling us through. The door clanged shut behind us, echoing in the concrete stairwell. The sound of the gunshot. The blood. The violence, it replayed in my head on a loop. We were halfway down the first flight when Claire suddenly cried out, stumbling against the railing. My side, it hurts. She looked down. Her hand, pressed to her ribs, came away slick and red. A dark stain was spreading rapidly across the light grey fabric of her tank top. The bullet. It had gone through the man. It had hit her. Liam! I cried. He turned, his eyes dropping to the wound. His jaw tightened. Damn it. He caught her as her knees buckled. Nora! Help me! Together. We half-carried, half-dragged Claire down the remaining flights. Her breath coming in shallow, pained gasps. The service exit dumped us into a filthy alley behind the building. Liam's black town car was there. The engine running. The driver, the same silent man from before, was out in an instant, helping us bundle Claire into the back seat. She was pale, her skin clammy. It's cold, she whispered. Keep pressure on it, Liam ordered, shoving a wad of cloth from the car's first aid kit into my hands. I pressed it against the wound, the warmth of her blood seeping through the fabric. Liam slid in beside the driver. Hospital. Now. The one on Fulton. Don't use the sirens. The car peeled away. I cradled Claire's head in my lap, her blood soaking into my slacks. Her eyes were wide, frightened. Am I going to die? No. I said, the word firm. Despite the terror clawing at my throat. I looked at her. This woman who had shared my secrets, my joys, my life, and then tried to steal it all. The hatred was still there. A cold stone. But it was buried under the immediate. Animal need to keep her alive. You're not going to die. Just hold on. She reached a trembling, bloody hand up and grabbed my wrist. Her grip was surprisingly strong. The token, it's a decoy. What? I leaned closer. Mark, he's paranoid. The one in the desk, it's a fake. Triggers an alarm if used. The real one, she coughed. A bubble of blood appearing at the corner of her lip. It's in my locket. The one I always wear. My mind flashed to the simple silver locket Claire had worn for years. She'd said it was her grandmother's. I'd never seen her without it. Until today. She wasn't wearing it. Where is it? I asked. My voice urgent. My apartment, bedroom, jewelry box. Her eyes fluttered closed. Claire! Claire! Stay with me. Liam was on the phone. His voice low and rapid. We have a GSW. Female. 30s. Abdominal. ETA 3 minutes. Have a team ready. No police. Private channel. Yes. I'll square it. The car screeched to a halt at a loading dock behind the hospital. Men in scrubs were already there with a gurney. They transferred Claire with efficient speed. As they wheeled her away, one of the men looked at Liam and gave a short nod. We'll handle it. You know the drill. Liam turned to me. I was standing in the alley, covered in Claire's blood, my hands shaking violently. The adrenaline was receding, leaving a vast, hollow terror in its wake. The locket, I said. The real token is in her locket. In her apartment. Liam's face was grim. The place will be swarming with Mark's people or police in minutes. We can't go back. We have to. The panic was rising, choking me. Without it, it's all for nothing, I know. He ran a hand over his face. The first sign of stress I'd seen in him. He looked at his watch. It's 8:47. We have less than an hour. He looked at me, his gaze sharpening. You need to call your father. What? Now? I can't tell him all this. You don't have to tell him everything. You have to tell him enough. He needs to halt all automated trading. Now. He's the only one with the authority to do it globally. From the top. It's the only way to buy us time. He'll want to know why. Tell him. Liam thought for a second. Tell him you have credible information from a source that the company is the target of a short-selling attack at market open. That you're following a lead. But he needs to institute a trading freeze on all employee-held stock for the day. Use the words, credible threat, and imminent. He'll listen. I fumbled for my phone. My bloody fingers leaving smears on the screen. I found my father's number. The one labeled Dad Red Heart hash in my contacts. I pressed call. It rang once. Twice. Nora? Sweetheart. You're up early. His voice. Warm and familiar. Almost broke me. Dad. I said. Forcing my voice to be steady. Authoritative. The voice I used for charity board meetings. Listen to me very carefully. Don't ask questions. You are in immediate danger. Carson Tech is the target of a coordinated short attack. Set to begin at 9:30. You need to go into the system right now and issue a total trading freeze on all employee stock options and trust shares. Effective immediately. For the entire day. Do you understand? There was a beat of stunned silence. Nora. What on earth are you talking about? Where is this coming from, Dad? Please? The authority cracked. Raw fear bleeding through. There's no time. It's real. It's happening. And if you don't do this right now, you will lose the company. Please. Trust me. Just this once. Don't ask. Just do it. Use your emergency override. Now, another silence. Shorter this time. I could hear the rustle of papers. The squeak of his chair. The sound of him moving. Taking me seriously. All right. Sweetheart. I'm logging in now. A full freeze. For the day. I heard the rapid tapping of keys. Done. It's processing. It'll take a few minutes to propagate through the system. But the order is in. Now. You tell me what the hell is going on. I can't. Not yet. Just stay in your office. Don't talk to anyone. Especially not Mark. I'll explain everything. I promise. Just stay put and trust me. I hung up before he could protest further. I looked at Liam. He's doing it. Good. He was already on his phone again. The freeze will buy us a window. But if Mark has the other half of the authentication, and he's determined, he might find a workaround. Or Volkov will. We need that locket. He paced a short, tight line. We can't go back to the apartment. It's compromised. An idea. Desperate and insane. Formed in my mind. What if we don't need to go back? I said slowly. What if we make him bring it to us? Liam stopped pacing. Explain. Claire's locket. She never takes it off. Mark knows that. If he thinks she's in trouble. If he thinks she's been compromised, and he finds out she's in the hospital, wouldn't he come? To tie up loose ends? To get the token from her? Or to make sure she can't talk? Liam stared at me. A new respect dawning in his eyes. It's a risk. A huge one. He might just cut his losses and run. He won't. I said. The certainty chilling me. The token is the key to $7 million and more. He's arrogant. He's invested. He'll come. He'll want to see for himself. And he'll bring the other half. To finish the job if he can. A grim smile touched Liam's lips. It didn't reach his eyes. Then we set a trap. In a hospital. It's messy. It's public. It's the only play we have left. I said. Echoing his own words from earlier. I looked down at my blood-stained clothes. And I need to be the bait. Liam studied me for a long moment. Then gave a single, sharp nod. All right. Nora Carson. Let's go fishing. But you do exactly as I say. This isn't a vase. This is the endgame. He turned and strode back toward the hospital entrance. I took a deep, shuddering breath. The coppery smell of blood filling my nose. The frightened wife was gone. The grieving friend was gone. All that was left was a woman with nothing left to lose and a score to settle. I squared my shoulders and followed him into the sterile, fluorescent light. The private wing of the hospital was a silent, carpeted world of hushed voices and beeping monitors. Claire was in surgery. Her prognosis touch and go. Liam had people here, a discreet security detail and a doctor who asked no questions. His fee undoubtedly astronomical. I stood in the small family lounge, having changed into scrubs provided by the nurse. My blood-stained clothes were in a biohazard bag. I felt disembodied, floating on a current of pure adrenaline and cold rage. Liam entered, holding a burner phone. It's time. He's been trying Claire's phone. It's going to voicemail. He'll be getting nervous. He handed me the phone. Call him. As Claire. Sound weak. Scared. Tell him you've been hurt. You're at Mercy General. Private wing. You need him. You have the token. Use the word locket. It's the trigger. He'll recognize my voice. He's panicking. The trading freeze your father initiated is already causing ripples. The Volkov algorithm is hitting a wall. He's looking for Claire. He'll hear what he wants to hear. Do it. I took the phone. My hands were ice cold but steady. I dialed Mark's number. The one I knew by heart. It rang. Claire? Jesus. Where are you? The system's locked. His voice was tight, frayed with a tension I'd never heard before. I closed my eyes, picturing Claire's breathy, frightened tone. Mark, it's me. I'm at Mercy General. Private wing. 4th floor. I've been hurt. I let my voice waver. Thin and pained. Hurt? What happened? Are you compromised? No concern for her. Only for the mission. The men you sent. There was a shooting. I have the locket. But I need you. It's bad. Please, before the police. I let the sentence trail off into a weak gasp. A long silence. I could almost hear his mind racing. Calculating risks. The law of the token versus the trap. His arrogance won. Stay there. Don't talk to anyone. I'm coming. What's the room number? 412. Hurry. I hung up. Liam was already moving. He'll come. But he won't be alone. And he'll be armed. He handed me a small, flat device. Panic button. Stick it under the bed rail. If he gets within 3 feet of you, press it. My men are in the rooms across the hall and next door. I'll be outside. He checked his own weapon. A compact pistol. With a chilling familiarity. Remember, the goal is the token. We need him to bring it out. Let him think he's in control. Right until he isn't. He left. I was alone in the sterile, beige room. The silence was oppressive. I stood by the window, looking down at the parking lot, waiting for the devil I knew to arrive. It took 18 minutes. A black SUV pulled up sharply. Mark got out from the passenger seat. He was alone. He looked up at the building, his face a mask of focused intent. Then he straightened his suit jacket and walked inside. All confident purpose. The wolf coming to the wounded sheep. My heart hammered. I moved to the chair beside the empty hospital bed, arranging myself to look vulnerable. One hand pressed to my side in imitation of a wound. I heard the soft hiss of the door opening. He stepped inside, closing the door quietly behind him. His eyes swept the room, missing nothing. Before landing on me, he didn't look surprised to see me. His expression was one of cold, furious understanding. The mask was off. Nora. He said my name like it was a diagnosis. Where is she? Gone. I said, my voice flat. The token. Mark. Where is it? A humorless smile touched his lips. You've been busy. Playing detective. I have to admit. I'm impressed. I didn't think you had it in you. He took a step closer. His gaze analytical. Predatory. But this is a pathetic gambit. Where's Claire? And who's the hired help? The token. I repeated. It's over. The trade is frozen. Your men are in custody or in the wind. Volkov will cut his losses. It's just you now. Give it to me. And maybe you walk out of here before the FBI arrives. He laughed. A short, ugly sound. You think I'm alone? You think this is my first contingency? He took another step. He was between me and the door. The token is right here. He tapped his jacket pocket. And as for walking out, I have a different exit strategy. One that involves a grieving, unstable wife taking her own life after a failed confrontation with her treacherous best friend. A tragic murder-suicide. It's cleaner. He moved fast. Not towards me, but towards the medical cart. His hand closed around a sealed syringe. He snapped the cap off with his thumb. My blood turned to ice. Administer prescribed benzodiazepines. This was it. The neutralization. I fumbled for the panic button under the rail. My fingers slick with sweat. Mark saw the movement. His eyes narrowed. He lunged. The door burst open. Liam filled the doorway. His gun raised. Don't move. Thorn. Drop it. Mark froze. The syringe held like a knife. He didn't drop it. He looked from Liam to me. And his smile returned. Wider. Manic. The hired help. I should have known. His gaze snapped back to me. He's using you. Nora. He's not your knight. He's another vulture. Once he has what he wants from you, you're just another loose end. Drop the syringe. And put your hands where I can see them. Liam ordered. His voice deadly calm. Or what? You'll shoot me? In a hospital. Mark took a deliberate step towards me. She's my wife. We're having a private discussion. A marital spat. You're the intruder here. He was closer now. Within arm's reach. The needle glinted. I pressed the panic button. Nothing happened immediately. Mark's smile was triumphant. Your friends are a little tied up. I'm afraid. My associate in the SUV is quite proficient. Liam's finger tightened on the trigger. Last warning. In that split second of standoff, I saw my opening. Mark's attention was fixed on Liam. The gun, the pocket of his jacket, where he tapped, was slightly open. I didn't think. I moved. I slapped the syringe from his hand. It clattered across the floor. At the same moment, I drove my other hand into his jacket pocket, my fingers closing around a small, hard rectangle of plastic and metal. I pulled back. Stumbling. Mark roared, swinging a fist at my head. I ducked. The blow grazing my temple. A shot. Impossibly loud in the small room. Mark jerked backwards. A look of profound surprise on his face. He looked down at the dark spot blooming on his pristine white shirt. Just over his heart. He touched it. His fingers coming away red. He looked at Liam. At the gun. Then his knees buckled. And he collapsed to the floor. The sound of the gunshot seemed to hang in the air. Then was swallowed by the sudden blare of the hospital alarm I'd triggered. Liam was at my side in an instant, pulling me away from Mark's still form. Do you have it? Wordlessly. I opened my hand. In my palm was a silver locket. The chain broken. And a small, black USB device with a fingerprint sensor. The real token. Good. Liam said. He pocketed them both. Sirens wailed in the distance. Growing closer. Hospital security would be here in seconds. Then police. We have to go. Now. He pulled me toward the door. I glanced back once. Mark lay on the floor. A dark pool spreading around him. His eyes open. Staring at the ceiling. The man I loved. The man who promised me forever. The man who tried to erase me. There was no sorrow. No pity. Just a vast, empty silence. Nora. Now, I turned and ran with Liam down the hallway. Away from the sirens. The alarms. The ruin of my old life. Clutching the only thing I had left. The bitter, bloody truth. The world became a blur of motion and sound. Then a suffocating silence. Liam's car. A different one, a common grey sedan, sped through a labyrinth of side streets. His driving calm and precise, evading the converging sirens. I sat in the passenger seat, staring at my hands, which were clean now but felt permanently stained. The ghost sensation of the locket's chain. The sight of Mark's collapsing body, played on a relentless, silent loop behind my eyes. We didn't go back to his sleek apartment. We drove south, out of the city, across the peninsula, into the fog-shrouded redwood forests south of Half Moon Bay. The transition from urban chaos to primordial quiet was jarring. He turned onto an unmarked gravel road that twisted for a mile before ending at a gate of weathered cedar. A keypad. A retinal scanner. The gate swung open. The safe house was a low-slung, modernist cabin of glass and dark wood, built into the side of a hill, nearly invisible from the air or the road. It looked like a billionaire's retreat. It felt like a bunker. Inside, it was a more rustic version of his city apartment, exposed beams, a stone fireplace, the same stark efficiency. A wall of monitors showed feeds from cameras along the perimeter and the road. The only warmth came from the orange glow of a bank of computer servers humming softly in a climate-controlled closet. Liam went straight to the servers, inserting the USB token. With this and the documents from the safe, we have the complete picture. Enough to burn Volkov's operation to the ground and keep Carson Tech safe. He spoke without looking at me, his fingers flying over a keyboard. Your father's trading freeze held. The attack failed. The stock dipped on the unusual activity, but it's stabilizing. I stood in the middle of the great room, hugging myself. The adrenaline was gone, leaving a cavernous hollow inside. Is he dead? I asked, my voice small in the vast, quiet space. Liam paused, his back to me. The shot was center mass. The 9mm round I use is designed to stop, not to overpenetrate. In a trauma center, maybe. In a hospital hallway with response times, unlikely. He finally turned. His grey eyes were unreadable. Does it matter? Did it? I searched myself. I found no grief. Only a cold, grim finality. I need to know. For the legalities. For closing things. I'll find out. He turned back to the screens. For now, you're a material witness to a shooting. At a minimum, the police will be looking for you. The story Mark's associate will tell won't be kind. You need to stay here, off-grid, until I can negotiate a resolution with the right people. The right people? A hysterical laugh bubbled in my throat. Who are the right people? Liam? The ones who pay you. My reclusive aunt, Evelyn, is part of it. But this is bigger now. He pulled up a news feed on a secondary monitor. The ticker at the bottom read, shooting at Mercy General. Financial District Executive down. Wife sought for questioning. A grainy photo of me, from a charity gala, flashed on the screen. I was a fugitive. The right people are at the Department of Justice, the SEC, and the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit. I have contacts. We give them Volkov. The whole conspiracy, wrapped in a bow with the evidence we have. In exchange, you get full immunity, witness protection if you want it, and a guarantee that Carson Tech emerges unscathed. Mark becomes the rogue agent, the tragic, greedy villain. You're the victim who helped bring him down. He made it sound so clean, so transactional. Erase the blood, the betrayal, with a deal. And Claire, if she lives, she'll be offered a similar deal. She'll take it. She'll testify. She'll disappear. He finally looked at me. Really looked at me. Seeing the shock. The emptiness. You need to eat. Sleep. You're in shock. I'm not hungry. I walked to the wall of glass overlooking a ravine choked with redwoods and fog. My father. I need to call him. He'll have seen the news. Not from your phone. And you can't tell him you're here. Liam brought me a satellite phone. Keep it vague. Reassure him you're safe. Tell him you're with federal authorities. Cooperating. Tell him to say no comment to everyone. Especially the press. And to trust your lawyer. That's me. For now, to contact him, I took the heavy phone, dialing my father's private line with numb fingers. He answered on the first ring. His voice ragged. Nora? My God. Nora. Are you all right? The news, they're saying Mark was shot. That you were there. I'm safe. Dad. I interrupted, forcing calm into my voice. I'm safe. I can't tell you where. I'm with people who are helping me. The things they're saying on the news. It's not what happened. Mark. Dad. He was involved in something terrible. He was trying to destroy the company. To destroy us. A long, shuddering sigh came through the phone. Evelyn called me. An hour ago. She told me some of it. I didn't want to believe her. I still don't want to. His voice broke. My little girl. Are you sure you're safe? Yes. For now. You have to listen to me. Say nothing to anyone. Not to the board. Not to the police. Not to the press. My lawyer will contact you. His name is. I looked at Liam. He shook his head slightly. His name will be given to you. Just trust him. And trust me. I'll explain everything when I can. Nora. Please. Just come home. Let me protect you. You can't. Dad. Not from this. I have to see it through. I love you. I hung up before my own composure shattered. The silence of the cabin descended again. Thicker now. Liam had placed a bowl of soup and some crackers on the large dining table. I ignored it. What now? We just wait, now. Liam said, powering down the main server bank. Leaving only the security feeds active. We ensure the evidence is in the right hands. I'm going to make a drop. A meeting. I'll be gone for a few hours. You stay here. The perimeter is secure. The code for the alarm is 091823. Your anniversary. Ironic. I know. Don't go outside. Don't answer the landline if it rings. There is a gun in the drawer of the nightstand in the bedroom. It's loaded. Safety is on. I hope you won't need it. The thought of being alone in this silent, hidden fortress was more terrifying than anything that had happened so far. You're leaving me here. It's the safest place on earth for you right now. I need to move the evidence in person. Digital transfers can be intercepted. This is the final play. Nora. He picked up a hardened briefcase, clicking the USB token and a stack of printed documents from a portable printer inside. Get some rest. The next few days will be busy. He moved to the door, a shadow against the dark wood. He paused, his hand on the knob. You did good today. Better than good. You held it together when it mattered. Then he was gone. The door locked with a series of heavy, mechanical thunks. The silence was absolute, broken only by the faint hum of the servers and the sigh of the wind in the redwoods outside. I was alone. Truly alone for the first time since the text in the restaurant. The events of the last 24 hours crashed over me in a deafening wave. The kiss. The USB drive. Liam. The safe. Claire's blood. The syringe. The gunshot. I slid down the glass wall to the floor, drawing my knees to my chest. And finally, in the profound silence of the safe house, I allowed myself to shake apart. Silent sobs racking my body for the husband I'd lost, the friend I'd lost, the life that was gone. I don't know how long I sat there. Eventually, the storm passed, leaving me hollowed out and exhausted. I dragged myself to the bedroom, a spare room with a simple platform bed. I ignored the nightstand drawer. I lay down on top of the covers, still in the scrubs, and fell into a black, dreamless sleep. A sound jolted me awake. A soft click. Not from the door. From inside the house. I was instantly, painfully awake. Every nerve screaming. The room was dark. The digital clock read 3:18 a.m. Liam had been gone for hours. I lay perfectly still, listening. The wind. The hum. Then, a faint creak of a floorboard. In the great room. Someone was inside. My heart hammered against my ribs. Liam had said the perimeter was secure. Had he been followed? Had Mark's people, Volkov's people, found us? The door to the bedroom was slightly ajar. A sliver of light from the moonlit great room sliced across the floor. A shadow passed through it. I had to move. The gun. Liam's words, in the nightstand drawer. I slid silently out of bed. My bare feet soundless on the cool concrete floor. I crept to the nightstand. My breath held. My fingers found the handle of the drawer. I pulled. It opened without a sound. Inside, on a stack of folded linens, lay a black pistol. It felt heavier than I expected. Cold and alien in my hand. I fumbled for the safety, finding a small lever. I pushed it, hoping it was now off, as Liam had shown me in the car with his own weapon. A lifetime ago. Another creak. Closer now, just outside the bedroom door. I raised the gun, my arms trembling, pointing it at the doorway. The figure I'd seen was tall, Liam-sized, But it wasn't Liam. The silhouette was wrong. Broader. The door began to swing open. Stop! My voice was a ragged shout in the silence. I have a gun! The door stopped. A man's voice, low and smooth with a faint Eastern European accent, came from the darkness. Mrs. Thorne. Nora. We do not wish to harm you. We are here for what belongs to Mr. Volkov. The device. The files. Give them to us. And you may walk out of this. This is not your war. Volkov. They'd found us. Liam's meeting had been a trap. Or he'd been compromised. They're not here. I said, trying to sound firm. They're gone. You're too late. A soft, humorless chuckle. We tracked the signal from the token. A faint homing pulse. In case of misunderstandings, it led here. Do not make this difficult. You have seen what happens to those who are difficult. I thought of Mark on the floor. Of Claire bleeding out. A cold clarity washed over me. They would not take me. They would not make me just another neutralized loose end. The last man who threatened me is dead, I said. And I pulled the trigger. The gun roared. The flash blinding in the dark room. The recoil was a savage kick, wrenching my wrist. I'd aimed at the center of the doorway. I heard a grunt of pain. A curse in Russian. I'd hit him, but not stopped him. You bitch! The door slammed open. A large man filled the doorway. One hand clutched to his shoulder. In his other hand, a pistol with a long, cylindrical suppressor was already rising. I fired again. Wildly. The shot went wide, splintering the door frame. He fired back. A fut sound. And the pillow on the bed exploded in a puff of feathers. I scrambled backwards, crashing into the nightstand. My back to the wall. No escape. He stepped into the room. His gun aimed at my center mass. His face a mask of cold fury. Last chance. Where is it? I had nowhere to go. I raised my own gun. But my hands were shaking so badly I knew I'd miss. This was it. After everything. To end here. In the dark. Alone. A shadow detached itself from the deeper darkness of the ensuite bathroom behind the man. A shape that moved with liquid silence. Liam. He wrapped one arm around the man's throat, clamping tight, his other hand forcing the gunman's wrist up. The silenced pistol fired into the ceiling. Fut! Fut! The man struggled, gargling, clawing at Liam's arm. Liam held on. Relentless. After what felt like an eternity, the man went limp. Liam lowered him to the floor, checked his pulse, then swiftly disarmed him and bound his hands with a zip tie from his pocket. He stood up, breathing slightly heavily. In the moonlight, I saw a dark streak of blood on his temple. He'd been hurt. You were here, I stammered, the gun falling from my numb fingers to clatter on the floor. The meeting was a cover, he said, his voice rough. I needed to see if we were followed. I came back an hour ago. Through the ravine entrance. I heard him bypass the perimeter sensors. He was good. Volkov's best. Probably. He looked at me, his pale eyes glinting. You shot him. I tried to. You hit him. That's what matters. He stepped over the unconscious man and came toward me. He didn't touch me, but his presence was a solid wall in the chaos. Are you hurt? I shook my head. The tremors starting in earnest now. Is it over? This part is, he said, looking down at the intruder. He'll have a tracker. A communication device. Volkov will know he failed. He'll cut his losses and retreat. The evidence is already with my contact at the FBI. By morning, warrants will be issued. The story will be that Mark Thorne, in league with foreign interests, attempted corporate sabotage and was killed in a confrontation. You will be the heroic wife who uncovered the plot and helped authorities. And him? I nodded at the man on the floor. He'll disappear. Into the system. He'll be a valuable asset to trade. Liam finally looked at me. Really looked. The professional detachment was still there. But there was something else. A flicker of what might have been concern. Or respect. You should get some real sleep. I'll handle this. I didn't move. I just stared at the man who had, in the span of a day, become the only real thing in my shattered world. A stranger who knew all my secrets. who had seen me at my most broken and most fierce. You knew they'd come. I suspected. I hoped I was wrong. He held my gaze. You passed the test. Nora. The final one. Now. Go to sleep. Tomorrow. We start putting your life back together. What's left of it? I turned and walked back to the bed, stepping over feathers and the smell of cordite. I lay down, facing the wall. I heard Liam drag the unconscious man out of the room. I heard the soft, efficient sounds of him securing the house again. I closed my eyes. The hollow inside me was still there, but it was no longer empty. It was filled with a new, hard substance, forged in betrayal, tempered in blood. I was not the woman I was yesterday. That woman was gone. And as the first grey light of dawn began to seep through the trees, I finally understood. The performance was truly over. I was no longer acting. This cold, clear, surviving creature was who I was now. And for the first time since I saw the kiss, I was not afraid. The world came back in pieces, through a lawyer-filtered haze. Liam was as good as his word. The right people were a brisk, no-nonsense assistant U.S. attorney named Helen Cruz and a senior FBI agent named Wallace. They came to a different, bland office building in the city, under heavy guard. Liam was there, in a suit, playing the role of my legal counsel with chilling conviction. The meetings were brutal, clinical. I told my story, from the text to the gunshot, over and over. They had the evidence, the safe documents, the token, the financial trails. They had the wounded Volkov operative in custody, singing like a canary to avoid extradition. The narrative was carefully constructed. Mark Thorne, ambitious and corrupt, seduced by Russian money. Claire Evans, a willing accomplice. Me, the unwitting dupe who stumbled onto the plot and, in a moment of terror and self-defense, saw it end in violence. My father was the grateful, shocked patriarch. His company saved. They offered immunity, witness protection, a new identity. I refused the new identity. My name is Nora Carson. I told Cruz, my voice flat. I'm not hiding. I'm staying. Liam, beside me, gave a barely perceptible nod. He'd expected this. There was a funeral. A small, private, horrifying affair. Mark was buried in the Carson family plot. Because the alternative, leaving him to the state, was a scandal my father couldn't bear. The headstone read, beloved husband and son. The lie was carved in granite. I wore black, a veil, and felt nothing but a distant, icy contempt. The press camped outside the cemetery, their long lenses catching my profile. The photos ran with headlines, grieving heiress buries traitor husband. Claire survived. She woke up from surgery to find federal agents at her bedside. She took the deal. Of course. I never saw her again. Her testimony, delivered from a secret location, sealed the cases against the remaining Volkov associates. She became a footnote. My father aged 10 years in 10 days. The shock of Mark's betrayal, the violence, the near loss of his life's work, it broke something in his robust spirit. He retired, officially, handing the reins of Carson Tech to a trusted, dull COO. He moved permanently to the Napa house. Among his vines, a quieter, sadder man. We had dinner once a week. We talked about the weather, the wine. We never spoke of Mark, or Claire, or the hole where my marriage used to be. The silence between us was a new, fragile thing. The legal machinery ground on. Indictments were unsealed. Dmitry Volkov, conveniently, was in Moscow, out of reach. A few mid-level executives in New York and Zurich were arrested. The news cycle moved on, chasing the next scandal, and I was left alone in the Nob Hill penthouse, a gilded cage filled with ghosts. I walked through rooms that held only echoes. I packed Mark's things myself. I didn't cry. I boxed his suits, his watches, the books from the safe that wasn't a book. I donated it all, keeping nothing. I had the locks changed. I had the security system completely overhauled. On Liam's recommendation, he checked in, periodically, by secure text. His job was done. Evelyn had paid him. Our professional relationship was over. But the world outside the legal resolution was messier. The hollow feeling didn't go away. It was filled with a restless, directionless energy. I tried to go back to my old life, the charity boards, the gallery openings. The whispers followed me, the pitying looks, the cautious, probing questions. I was a spectacle, a tragic figure. I couldn't bear it. One afternoon, 6 weeks after the funeral, I found myself standing in the doorway of Mark's old study. It was just a room now. I'd had the desk replaced, the bookshelves cleared. It was empty. A blank slate. My phone buzzed. A number I didn't recognize. With a 212 area code. I answered. "Hello, it's Liam." His voice was the same, calm, direct. A tether to the person I'd been in those frantic days. "How are you holding up?" I looked around the empty room. "I'm redecorating." A pause. "Good. You should. It's your space now." Another beat. "I'm in the city." Briefly. A debrief. "I have something for you. From Evelyn." "What is it?" "Better to show you." "Are you free?" "Somewhere public." We met at the Japanese tea garden in Golden Gate Park. It was a crisp, sunny day. He was waiting by the koi pond, looking out of place in his dark suit amid the tourists and the cherry blossoms. He looked older, tireder, a fresh scar, thin and white, traced his hairline near the temple, from the fight in the safe house. "You look well," he said, handing me a small, wrapped parcel. "I look like someone who doesn't sleep much," I replied, taking it. It was light, flat. I unwrapped it. It was an oil painting, about the size of a hardback book. A tumultuous seascape, all dark blues and violent grays, with a single, brilliant slash of gold where the sun broke through the clouds. It was powerful, bleak, and hopeful all at once. In the corner, a tiny E. "See, Evelyn Carson. She wanted you to have it," Liam said. "She said it's called After the Storm. She's not much for talking on the phone." I traced the gilded frame. My reclusive aunt, who saw the rust when everyone saw the shine. "Thank you." I looked at him. "And thank you. For everything. You saved, a lot more than just the company. You saved yourself. Nora. I just handed you the tools." He looked at the koi. His profile sharp. The Volkov operative. The one from the cabin. He confirmed something. "About your mother's accident." The air left my lungs. The park sounds faded. "What?" "It was just a suspicion Evelyn had. No proof. But the operative. He was bragging. Trying to trade up. He said Volkov had a specialty, removing obstacles. He mentioned a car accident 10 years ago. A wealthy socialite in Pacific Heights. The brakes were tampered with. It was made to look like a manufacturer's defect. A settlement was paid. The world tilted. My mother's smiling face, frozen in a photo on my father's piano. Her laughter. The sudden, violent end. The vague, unresolved grief that had hung over our family for a decade. Volkov. "But why?" "Your father was considering a merger with a German firm. Volkov wanted the tech. Your mother was against the merger. She thought the Germans were predatory. She was persuasive. With her gone, your father went ahead with the deal. It fell apart later. But by then, Volkov had gotten the schematics he wanted through back channels." Liam finally looked at me. His grey eyes held no pity. Just the hard truth. Mark knew. It was part of his initiation into Volkov's inner circle. He used the knowledge as leverage, as a bond. The final piece of the betrayal slid into place. Cold and perfect. It wasn't just greed. It was a legacy of violence he had willingly joined. He had known the man he worked for had killed my mother. And he had kissed me with those lips. Shared my bed. Planned my future. The nausea was sudden and overwhelming. I turned away, gripping the railing by the pond. My knuckles white. "I'm sorry," Liam said. And he sounded like he meant it. "You deserve to know. It closes the circle." I took deep, ragged breaths, forcing the sickness down. When I turned back, my face was dry. The cold core inside me hardened into something diamond sharp. Unbreakable. "Yes, it does." I looked at the painting in my hands. The slash of gold in the gloom. What will you do now? Another job. Different city. Different mess to clean up. He handed me a plain white business card. Just a phone number. If you ever need problem solving. Not as a client. As a contact. I took the card. Our fingers didn't touch. Will I see you again? Do you want to? The question hung between us. Laden with everything unsaid, the shared danger. The intimacy of survival. The understanding that we both lived in a world where normal was a fiction. I don't know what I want, I said. And it was the most honest thing I'd said in months. He nodded. As if that was answer enough. Then I'll be in touch. When it's safe. Take care of yourself. Nora Carson. He turned and walked away. His dark suit disappearing among the bright spring colors of the park. I stood there for a long time, holding the painting of the storm, watching the koi circle endlessly in their tranquil, confined pond. I went home. I hung Evelyn's painting in the empty study, on the wall where the safe had been. It was the first thing you saw when you entered the room. A reminder. A warning. A promise. I picked up my phone. I dialed the number for the Carson Family Foundation. I'd been avoiding their calls for weeks. Hi. Sarah. It's Nora. Yes. I'm back. I want to talk about refocusing our initiatives. I'm interested in funding forensic accounting programs for white-collar crime victims, and support networks for people who've experienced complex betrayal. Yes. I have some ideas. Can we set up a meeting? I hung up. I walked to the window, looking out over the city that was mine again. Scarred but standing. The performance was over. The audience was gone. I was no longer Nora, the betrayed wife, or Nora, the victim, or Nora, the survivor. I was just Nora. And for the first time, that felt like enough. The game was over. Now came the rest of my life. And I would be the one writing the rules. Life, in the aftermath, was a series of meticulously constructed routines. I became a ghost in my own city, a figure of quiet industry. The Carson Family Foundation's new focus on financial crime victim advocacy became my shield and my purpose. I hired a fierce, no-nonsense ex-prosecutor to run it, freeing me to work behind the scenes. I learned about shell companies, encrypted wallets, and trauma recovery. My name on a grant application carried weight, laced with a dark, sympathetic understanding. I saw Liam once, from a distance. 6 months after the tea garden, I was at a dreary federal building, testifying before a closed-door congressional subcommittee on foreign economic interference. He was in the hallway, leaning against a wall, speaking in low tones to Agent Wallace. He wore a different suit, but the same watchful stillness. Our eyes met across the bustling corridor. He gave a single, almost imperceptible nod. I returned it. He didn't approach. Neither did I. It was a silent acknowledgement. We were both still here. Still in the game. Just on different boards. My father called me every Sunday. Our conversations were stilted gardens, carefully weeded to avoid poisonous memories. He sent me cases of Cabernet from Napa. I sent him books on bird watching. It was a fragile piece, built on the unspoken ruins of our shared tragedy. The penthouse never felt like mine. I sold it, quietly, to a tech billionaire who valued the address more than the history. I bought a modern, airy loft in Dogpatch, all light and open space, with a view of the bay and the rusting bones of old industry. No ghosts could linger here. Evelyn's painting, After the Storm, hung in the living room, the slash of gold catching the morning sun. I thought that was it. The new normal. A life of purposeful quiet. I was wrong. The invitation arrived on thick, cream-colored stock, embossed with a familiar, sleek logo, the Volkov Group. It was for a philanthropic gala auction at the De Young Museum, benefiting, with exquisite irony, a children's hospital. Dmitry Volkov was listed as the evening's honorary chair. My first instinct was cold fury, the audacity. The second was a crawling, familiar fear. It was a provocation, a message. I'm still here. You didn't win. I crumpled the invitation, then smoothed it out. I stared at Volkov's printed name. The man who had ordered my mother's death. The puppet master behind Mark's betrayal. He was across an ocean. Untouchable. But now he was dipping a toe. So casually. Back into my city's waters. For a charity event. To launder his reputation with art and champagne. I couldn't go to the police. What would I say? He invited me to a party. Cruz and Wallace were done with me. The case was ongoing in diplomatic channels. My father would panic. I had no one. Except a number on a plain white card. I dialed. It rang 3 times. Yes. Liam's voice. No greeting. He knew who it was. His coming. Volkov. A gala. At the De Young. Next Friday. A long silence. I could hear the faint sound of traffic. A different city. I know. You know, I have alerts. His private jet filed a flight plan. San Francisco. Next Thursday. A pause. It's a trap. Nora. For you. The cold in my gut intensified. Why? He won. He got away. Why bother with me? You're a loose end that humiliated him. His operation here was dismantled. Assets were seized. He doesn't forget. And he doesn't believe in loose ends. The gala is cover. A public. Secure place. He wants to see you. To measure you. Maybe to offer a deal. More likely. To send a message. What should I do? Don't go. I have to. The words were out before I thought them. If I hide. He wins. He'll own my fear. I've spent a year building a life where I'm not afraid. I won't let him take that. Liam sighed. A soft sound of exasperation. Or maybe respect. Stubborn. All right. If you go. You don't go alone. And you follow my rules. Exactly. You'll be there, I'll be there. But you won't see me. You'll be wired. You'll have backup close. Your only job is to be Nora Carson. Philanthropist. Making a public appearance. You smile. You donate. You leave before dessert. You do not. Under any circumstances. Engage with him. You do not go to a balcony. A private room. Or the parking garage alone. Is that clear, Crystal? Good. I'll be in touch with details. He hung up. The week was a study in controlled anxiety. A courier delivered a small box. Inside, nestled in black foam, was a pair of diamond drop earrings. Exquisitely made. A note in precise handwriting. Wear these. They're listening. And they're pretty. I put them on. They were beautiful. And they made me feel like a weapon. The night of the gala arrived. I wore a column of midnight blue velvet. Simple. Severe. The earrings were my only jewelry. My reflection in the loft's full-length mirror showed a woman I barely recognized, poised, calm, with eyes that held a glacial light. A hired car took me to the museum. The event was a spectacle of wealth. Crystal. Orchids. The low, expensive hum of conversation. I moved through the crowd. A familiar figure now in these circles. Accepting air kisses. Deflecting questions with practiced smiles. I felt hyper-aware. Scanning the room. I didn't see Volkov. I made a show at the silent auction. Bidding absurdly on a wine-tasting tour I didn't want. I donated a large, public sum to the hospital. I was playing my part. Then, during the transition to dinner, I felt a presence at my elbow. A man in impeccable evening wear. With silver hair and eyes the color of a winter sea. Dmitry Volkov. He was older than in his photos. But the severity was the same. The aura of absolute control. Ms. Carson. He said. His accent smooth as oil. A pleasure. I was hoping you would come. Your foundation's new work is admirable. Every instinct screamed to run. I turned. Offering a cool, social smile. Mr. Volkov. Thank you for having me. It's a worthy cause. My voice was steady. The earrings felt hot against my skin. Indeed. Tragedy so often inspires the greatest charity. Does it not? His gaze held mine. Probing. Looking for cracks. Your personal losses have given you such clarity of purpose. They have. I agreed. Meeting his eyes without flinching. I've found it's important to understand the mechanisms of destruction. To better defend against them. A faint, appreciative smile touched his lips. A wise perspective. The world is full of complex mechanisms and misunderstandings. I, for one, regret the unpleasantness that touched your family, business, sometimes, has unfortunate collateral damage. Collateral damage. My mother, my marriage, my father, spirit. Some damages are too calculated to be called collateral. Don't you think? I kept my tone light, conversational. His smile didn't waver, but his eyes hardened. Perhaps it is also wise to know when a chapter is closed, to avoid reopening old wounds. For everyone's sake. The threat was velvet-wrapped, but unmistakable. Let it go. Or else. Some chapters, I said, picking a flute of champagne from a passing tray, are written in blood, Mr. Volkov. They don't close easily. They demand a reckoning. I took a sip, the bubbles sharp on my tongue. Now, if you'll excuse me, I see the museum director. Lovely to have met you. I turned and walked away, my spine straight, feeling the weight of his gaze on my back like a physical pressure. I didn't look back. I moved through the crowd, my heart a frantic drum against my ribs, but my face a placid mask. I made it to the lobby, the cool night air beckoning through the open doors. My car wasn't due for 20 minutes. Don't go to the parking garage alone. Liam's rule echoed. I'd wait under the porte cochere, in the light, with the valets. I stepped outside. The fog had rolled in. A cold, damp blanket. The valet stand was busy. I stood to the side, pulling my pashmina tighter. A black town car, identical to a dozen others, pulled up. Not mine. The rear window descended. Volkov looked out. May I offer you a ride, Ms. Carson? It seems your car is delayed. We could continue our conversation. The offer was a command. The car's interior was a dark moor. I saw the silhouette of a driver and another man in the front passenger seat. Thank you. No, I said, my voice clear. I enjoy the air. I insist. The pleasantry was gone. His voice was iron. The passenger door opened. A large man in a dark suit got out and started toward me. This was it. The message was going to be a kidnapping. An accident on a foggy night. My hand went to my earring. A nervous, social gesture. I pressed the diamond stud. The panic signal Liam had drilled into me. I'm afraid I must insist as well, I said, taking a step back. The man kept coming. Then, from the fog-shrouded sculpture garden to my left, a figure emerged. Liam. He wasn't in a suit. He wore dark, tactical clothing, almost invisible in the gloom. He held no weapon that I could see. He simply walked, with a relaxed, deliberate pace, directly toward Volkov's car, placing himself between me and the approaching man. The bodyguard stopped, reaching under his jacket. I wouldn't, Liam said, his voice carrying easily in the damp air. He didn't look at the bodyguard. He looked directly at Volkov in the car. The FBI's entire financial crimes unit is enjoying the canapés inside. Dmitry. And the security feed for this porte cochere is currently being mirrored to 3 separate federal servers. Your diplomatic immunity is thin. An attempted abduction on camera will shred it. Volkov's face, visible in the car's interior light, was a mask of cold fury. He stared at Liam, then at me. He said something in rapid Russian to the bodyguard. The man slowly lowered his hand, stepping back. Volkov's eyes locked on mine through the window. This is not over. Devushka. I think it is, I said. The window slid up. The bodyguard got back in. The town car pulled away silently, disappearing into the fog. I let out a shuddering breath, my knees going weak. Liam was at my side in an instant, a steadying hand under my elbow. I told you not to engage, he murmured, but there was no reproach. He engaged me. You held your ground. That was the reckoning. Public. Recorded. He knows you're not afraid. And he knows you're protected. He guided me away from the valet stand, toward a nondescript sedan idling at the curb. It's over. For real this time. He'll retreat. The cost is too high. I got into the passenger seat. Liam slid behind the wheel. We drove away from the glittering museum, into the foggy, anonymous night. Thank you. I said quietly. You did the work. He said. He glanced at me. The earrings suit you. I reached up. Touched one. The adrenaline was fading, leaving a profound exhaustion. And a strange, quiet peace. The ghost of Mark. The shadow of Volkov. The specter of the past. I had faced them all down in that moment on the steps. And I was still standing. What now? I asked. The familiar question feeling different this time. Liam looked at the road ahead. A faint smile on his lips. Now you go home. You live your life. The one you built. It's a good life. Nora. You earned it. He pulled up outside my loft. I got out. Then leaned back into the open car door. Will I see you again? He met my gaze. The grey eyes were unreadable. But not cold. If you need me. Or if I'm in the neighborhood. Take care. Nora. I closed the door. The car drove off. I stood on the sidewalk. The fog damp on my skin. The lights of my new home glowing warmly above. I went inside. I took off the beautiful, listening earrings and placed them in a small box on my dresser. I looked at Evelyn's painting. The gold/brilliant in the lamplight. After the storm. I was here. I was alive. And for the first time, the future ahead of me felt not like a threat. Or a performance. But simply like mine. The peace, when it finally came, was not an absence of sound, but a new kind of music. The frantic, dissonant chords of betrayal and survival faded, replaced by the steady, purposeful rhythm of a life built on my own terms. The loft in Dog Patch became a home, filled with books I chose, art that spoke to me, and a silence that was comforting, not accusing. The Carson Foundation thrived. We funded legal clinics for fraud victims, supported cybersecurity startups focused on protection, not penetration. I found I had a knack for the work, a cold eye for a bad proposal, a gut feeling for genuine need. My name, once synonymous with scandal, became associated with quiet, effective resolve. I didn't give interviews. I let the work speak. My father visited the loft once. He walked through the open space, admired Evelyn's painting, and stood at the window for a long time. It's very you, he'd said finally, a note of sad acceptance in his voice. We had dinner at the long concrete island. He told me about a new hybrid grape he was cultivating. I told him about a grant for a victims advocacy AI. We were learning a new language. Father and daughter. One without the old, treacherous vocabulary of trust and family business. A year bled into 18 months. The anniversary of Mark's death passed. I didn't visit the grave. I spent the day hiking in Marin. The wind and the vastness of the Pacific scouring me clean. I felt nothing but a distant, archival pity for the man he might have been. And a firm, final closing of a ledger. I heard snippets about Volkov. His expansion into Europe had hit regulatory walls. Rivals, emboldened by his stumbles, were circling. Liam's prediction held. The cost of engaging further had been too high. He'd cut his losses and retreated to his fiefdom. The world moved on. I thought of Liam often. The memory of him was like the scar on my palm from a long-healed cut, a part of me. A reminder of survival. But no longer painful. The plain white card with the number was in a small lockbox, along with my mother's pearls and the fake wedding band I'd bought for a charity costume party. I never called. He never made it to the neighborhood. Then, on a crisp Tuesday morning in October, a thick envelope arrived by special courier. No return address. Inside was a single, first-class plane ticket to Paris. Departure, Friday. Open return. And a note. In the same precise hand as before, a situation has arisen. Requires a partner with unique qualifications, understanding of high-stakes finance, fluency in French, and a proven ability to not panic when things go sideways. Compensation negotiable. Split preferred. I stared at the ticket. Paris. The city of light. Also a hub for art forgery, money laundering, and international intrigue. A situation. My heart did a slow, heavy roll in my chest. Not fear. Anticipation. A key turning in a long locked door. I thought of my tidy life. The grant meetings. The quiet evenings. The safety I had carved out with such determination. It was a good life. A sane life. It was also. A treacherous voice inside me whispered. A little bit of a tomb. I walked to the window. The bay was iron grey under a brooding sky. I looked at Evelyn's painting. The defiant slash of gold. After the storm. But not the end of the story. Just the beginning of the next day. I picked up my phone. Not the one with the number. My own. I called my second-in-command at the foundation. Maya. I need to take a sabbatical. Effective immediately. Personal reasons. You're in charge. You'll be brilliant. I called my father. Dad. I'm going to Paris. For a while. A change of scenery. I'll call when I land. I didn't pack a suitcase. I packed a go bag. The way Liam had taught me in one of his terse. Post-safe house briefings. Versatile. Dark clothing. Passport. Cash. Burner phone. A few encrypted drives with foundation work as cover. The diamond earrings. I left the loft key with the doorman, instructing him to forward mail. On Friday, I boarded the Air France flight. I slept most of the way. A deep, dreamless sleep I hadn't known in years. Charles de Gaulle was a ballet of chaos. I moved through customs. A woman alone. Purposeful. As I exited into the arrivals hall, I saw him. He was leaning against a pillar, reading a French newspaper. He wore a charcoal sweater and trousers, looking more like a professor than a spy. He glanced up as I approached, the grey eyes registering my presence with no surprise. A flicker of something, satisfaction, in their depths. You're late, he said, folding the paper. My flight was on time. I've been here for an hour. Reconnaissance. He fell into step beside me, seamlessly taking my small roller bag. You came. The pitch was intriguing. What's the situation? A client. A very old, very nervous French banker. He believes his most trusted protégé is orchestrating a digital run on his family's venerable, entirely opaque, private bank. She's using a contemporary art gallery in Saint-Germain as a front. He wants proof. He wants it stopped. He's willing to pay a retainer that would make your foundation blush, plus a percentage of what we recover. And my unique qualifications, you know how the entitled rich think. You can walk into that gallery and they'll see a potential patron, not a threat. You speak the language of money and loss fluently. Anne. He glanced at me. As previously noted. You don't panic. We emerged into the pale Parisian sunlight. He led me to a small, unremarkable Citroën. There's a safe flat in the 6th. We'll get you settled. Briefing is tonight. I slid into the passenger seat. The city unfolded before us. Ancient stones and Haussmannian grandeur. A different stage. A new role. Why me? Really? I asked as he navigated the traffic. You have other problem solvers. He was quiet for a moment. Because you're not a problem solver. Nora. You're a truth bringer. What happened to you? It didn't break you. It forged you. Most people in this line of work are running from something. Or towards some twisted idea of glory. You're just clear. It's a rare thing. And for this job. With this client. I need clear. I looked at his profile. The new lines around his eyes. The quiet intensity. I saw not a savior. Not a handler. But a partner. Flawed. Dangerous. And utterly reliable. The split. I said. You mentioned it was negotiable. A faint smile touched his lips. I did. I want 60-40. He actually laughed. A short, surprised sound. On what basis? On the basis that I'm the one walking into the gallery. I'm the face. The bait. If necessary. And on the basis that I've already saved you a fortune in therapy bills. I kept my tone light. But my gaze was steady. He stopped at a red light and looked at me fully. The grey eyes held mine. Assessing. Calculating. Then he nodded once. 55. 45. My final offer. I have overhead. And I found the client. I considered. The numbers were meaningless. Really. It was the principle. Deal. The light turned green. We drove on. Into the heart of the old city. He pulled up in front of a handsome, shuttered building on a quiet rue. Home. For now. 3rd floor. I got out. Retrieving my bag. The air smelled of coffee, baking bread, and imminent rain. A new world. Liam came around the car. He didn't make a move to follow me in. I'll be up in an hour with the files. Get some rest. The work starts tonight. I nodded, hoisting my bag. I started to turn, then stopped. Liam. Yes, thank you. For the ticket. For seeing me. Not the victim. Not the widow. Just me. He held my gaze. And for the first time, I saw the professional armor slip. Just a fraction. I saw the man beneath. Weary. Haunted. But unbroken. A reflection of my own self. You're hard to miss. Nora Carson. Always have been. He got back in the car and drove away. I stood on the Parisian sidewalk. The key to the safe flat in my hand. The future an unwritten page. I turned and walked inside. The staircase was narrow. Winding. My footsteps echoed on the worn stone. I reached the 3rd floor landing. Found the door. Unlocked it. The flat was small. Sunny. Simply furnished. A desk by the window looked out over a jumble of rooftops and chimney pots. A blank canvas. I set my bag down. I walked to the window. Opening it. The sounds of the city floated up. A scooter. A conversation in rapid French. The distant chime of a church bell. I wasn't Nora. The betrayed wife. I wasn't Nora. The avenging angel. I wasn't even Nora. The philanthropist. I was just Nora. In Paris. On the verge of a new game. And this time, I knew the rules. Better yet, I was ready to write a few of my own. I took a deep breath of the cool, foreign air. And I smiled. The storm was long past. The golden light of a new day was just beginning to break. And it was time to get to work.